The rulers spoke of making the central transportation port more realistic. The puzzling term is a cover for the intention to trim the main objectives of the project to a minimum. One of them was the creation of a modern transportation hub that will combine various modes of transport, air, rail and road, in one place. Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced today that the government is halting the construction of 12 railway lines in favour of one, the Y Line. There will be railroads that connect Polish cities with each other, with the capital, but also between the largest cities in Poland. Also, there will be a relatively dense network which will connect real concentrations of people.
która będzie łączyła realne skupiska ludzi.
The point is that it won't connect medium-sized cities in Poland, because that was the biggest beneficiary of our program. Cities such as Sieradz, Kalisz, Łomża, Ostrolenka and Płock. There it would be a huge breakthrough. And if Donald Tusk announced that the speed limit will be raised to 300 to 320 kilometers per hour, that's a kind of speed at which the train can no longer essentially stop somewhere along the way. According to the original assumptions, the central transportation port was to serve 45 million passengers a year. Yet another surprise, the number will be more than 10 million fewer. In addition, the Prime Minister announced that the government will support the development of regional airports, which rules out the assumed construction of a network of connections centred in Baranowo. 4 years have been in vain. This is a caricature of what we have created and the ploughing up of the entire rail transportation system. How to be happy about this? I ask all Poles to continue to press and push. They must realise the central transportation port in Poland.
Oni muszą zrealizować centralny port komunikacyjny w Polsce, pod Warszawą.
To stawia pod znakiem zapytania.
This calls into question the sensibility, desirability and business viability of this solution. Back during the election campaign, Donald Tusk said that independent experts would decide the future of the investment. It soon became apparent that Maciej Lasek, who is famous for his harsh criticism of the central transportation port, was at the head of this group. Donald Tusk also criticised the project, including in Mulkov in 2022. It is not at all easy for me to come to you and say that, in my opinion, the central transportation port is pointless, because the government has shot great propaganda around the central transportation port that this is the pride of Poland. You're watching it yourselves. Austria, Romania, Portugal and even Hungary aspire to build their own hub airports. Meanwhile, the Polish government continues to repeat its own version of megalomania, in which it seems to be isolated. It is obvious that building an airport is profitable, and other countries understand this. Much smaller economies are building airports or hubs both by rail and air. And here we have such an immigration of ambition, which is absolutely puzzling. The sluggishness of the Polish government is what the Hungarians want to take advantage of. Prime Minister Viktor Orban is in talks with Vinci A company that was supposed to be a strategic investor in the central transportation port. This is an investment of a much smaller scale than the central transportation port, but it may have a conflict of interest with the central transportation port and should be watched carefully. If the hub in Hungary is built earlier than in Poland, then competition for trade routes will be almost impossible. The situation occurred at the beginning of June, but the video only came to light now. The migrants flipped by the German police are 5 Eritrean citizens and 1 Ethiopian. They hold a temporary foreigner's identity certificate issued by Poland. The Germans, by behaving in this way towards Poland, show their insolence towards us. Despite the fact that this is yet another situation of this kind, again there is no firm response from the Polish services. A communique from the border guards reads, "The foreigners were turned back by the German side after they illegally crossed the border from Poland to Germany on the 8th of June on the Szczecin-Angermunde train." 6 Africans were disembarked by German police near Szczecin, unassisted by Polish forces. The border guard issued a reassuring message as if everything was okay. It shows that they are asylum seekers from Poland who will now go to Biała Podlaska to live there at the expense of Poles before the bureaucracy milled their papers. On the Polish-Belarusian border issue, successive ruling coalition politicians are beginning to admit that artificially induced migration pressure by the Belarusian and Russian services is underway. Now it's mostly specialised thugs who are tasked with forcing, obstructing and destabilising the situation on the border. Today we are dealing with hordes of bandits who are attacking the Polish border and trying to attack Polish soldiers and officers. The hybrid war on the Polish-Belarusian border began in the summer of 2021. Mateusz Morawiecki's government had been giving updates on the situation on the border, while Donald Tusk and his party colleagues said that these were poor people who needed to be helped. These are poor people looking for their place on Earth. In fact, this is an attempt to permanently destabilise Central and Eastern Europe. The migratory pressure on our borders continues unabated. If those in power do not take concrete action, then illegal migrants will continue to perpetrate attacks on our borders, and another tragedy may occur. In early June, a soldier defending our borders, Sergeant Mateusz Sitek, who was attacked by a migrant in late May, died. The situation will escalate with each passing month. Now Prime Minister Donald Tusk wants to spend 10 billion zloty on strengthening Poland's eastern borders, although not long ago he did not believe in the realization of building a wall on the border. You will not see this wall. That's the problem. Łukasz Muda, TV Republic. On Tuesday, China announced an extension of its visa-free policy to include New Zealand, Australia and Poland. Effective from the 1st of July 2024 to the 31st of December 2025, citizens of the three countries holding ordinary passports may visit and stay in China for up to 15 days visa-free for business, tourism, visiting relatives and friends and transit. Jaworski operates a Warsaw-based gaming company specializing in game sales. Over the past 2 years, he has actively targeted the Chinese market, traveling frequently to grow his customer base. He believes the visa-free policy will invigorate both economies.
I think for the whole industry in Poland, of any company that has business relationships with China and wants to either establish establish office in China, it will be a huge help because doing business on a larger scale requires flow of people, and not having to apply for visa each time will definitely boost the economy.
The visa-free policy has also significantly boosted confidence among local travel agencies in Poland. Rogalski, head of a Polish travel agency, said that currently tourists travelling from Poland to China account for half his company's total business volume. He anticipates substantial growth in business to China with the introduction of this policy.
We have been waiting for this news for such a long time, and we are very excited because we know that many tourists from Poland will go to China. We had a lot of phones, we had a lot of emails, and you know, China is a dream country for many people.
Many in Poland view China's visa-free policy as a positive development for both tourism and business operations. Rifles laid out before them, young Polish men and women kneel on the grass and follow instructions on how to pack their survival kit. Next comes a lesson on the application of camouflage paint. Not too much neon, an instructor warns them as he demonstrates how to add dark streaks to the bright green already plastered on their faces. Many at the training field in Novogrod Forest in eastern Poland are recent high school graduates. Not long ago they were applying makeup for parties and packing bags for school excursions. But this summer they have signed up for the new military program. The military introduced the program in a bid to find new recruits as Poland expands its army in the face of renewed Russian aggression in the region.
Nie zawsze chciałem zostać żołnierzem.
I didn't always want to become a soldier. However, current events in the world, all the conflicts, but most of all the situation around our homeland nearby, have motivated me to change my decisions, and I made the choice to become a soldier.
W pobliżu.
Among the volunteers is 34-year-old Magdalena Kloss. She had long dreamed of becoming a soldier, but waited for her children to be old enough. They are now 9 and 11, and she feels the time is finally right. I am proud that I am wearing the uniform. I became a soldier because I'm not only a mother and a wife, but also a soldier. Despite the name and the fact that it takes place in summer, there is nothing holiday-like about the program. The recruits wake up early and head to the training field to learn combat and survival skills. When they are not in the field, they are cleaning their quarters. They are not permitted to leave the base for visits home or nights out on the town. The Holidays with the Army program is, of course, implemented in the summer, and volunteers can join the army, but it is not a summer camp. It is not a school camp. It is a proper military training. There has been great interest in the 28-day program, which is taking place at locations across Poland this summer and pays participants 6,000 zloty. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has sparked renewed patriotism among the youth in Poland. Major Michał Tomczyk, a spokesman at the Defense Ministry, explained that Russia's invasion of Ukraine has sparked renewed patriotism among the youth in Poland. In general, we haven't had such a threat since World War II. We are aware of this as the sector responsible for this country's security, and we can see it in young people. At the end of the training, the volunteers will take a soldier's oath, and those who choose to continue down the military path can opt to join one of the branches of the professional armed services, the Territorial Defence Forces, or to be placed on standby as reservists. The foundation of everything that gives rise to our Polish patriotism is quite large, and perhaps some people do not understand how we are formed. We are basically in the centre of Europe and close to today's events that are taking place today in the east. Every day, dozens of participants head from the base in Łomża to the nearby training field in a forest clearing near the Narew River. Sweden and Finland took the landmark decision to join NATO, and some European nations are considering introducing compulsory conscription.